Warren Pretorius is the founder of Tennis Analytics, a company that provides detailed match analytics, scouting, along with detailed statistical reports. Current clients include USTA Player Development, Tennis Canada, over 40 NCAA teams, numerous academies, and players on the ATP and WTA tours. Pretorius is a USPTA Master Professional, a former NCAA Division I college player, and he was named the 2015 USOC Coach of the Year. Welcome, Warren.
Thank you. Good to be here.
You've created a very successful business involving video match analysis. In the beginning, what did you see that suggested there was a need for this?
Well, I think, as you know, my background was, I taught for many, many years, like all of you. And I got introduced, I was very heavily involved or very interested in video analysis. And, it was back in the day when if you did any video analysis, those of you that are of similar age as me will remember those old systems that you'd wheel out on the court, and it had a car battery on the bottom and a monitor on the top and then a camera, and you'd basically wheel it out and it was one of the old mini DV type cameras, and you would wheel it out to film somebody, have them come over and take a look at the little black and white monitor. And that was state of the art. And I was teaching at a club where the US ski team trained at, and one of the athletes, there were some famous ski team athletes like Bill Liggett, Ted Ligety, Bill's his dad, Ted Ligety, Bodie Miller, Lindsey Vonn. They all play a lot of tennis. And one of them said to me, why don't you use Dartfish? And that was my introduction to a ski software called Dartfish. And the short story is that I went to work for Dartfish to develop their tennis market. And Dartfish was and still is a video analysis tool. So it's a fantastic tool. But a lot of coaches it meant that a coach has got to take a lot of time to actually learn the software and then take the time to actually use it. And particularly in match analysis, which there are two areas of video analysis. There's technical analysis with strokes, and then there's match analysis with, doing tagging. And especially in match analysis, it takes a long time. So if you develop your own panel, you first got to know how to use the software and develop a panel. But then if it's a 2-hour match, it takes you more than 2 hours to actually break it down. Then you've got to know what to do with all the data. So what happened was that more and more coaches were coming to me and saying, yes, I've got the software, but I don't have the time to actually do it. Can you recommend somebody who can help me out? And I started doing that. I started training people, whether it's students or whatever, to do this. And then it dawned on me that maybe what I should do is just offer a consulting business to offer them, a way to outsource. And that was when Tennis and Analytics was born. And obviously it's like, there are a lot of logistics because it's a labor intensive, business and that. But I signed a contract with Novak Djokovic and, worked with him. That was in 2013, and did all of his analytics, and then decided that I was going to work with college teams, and that's a whole different beast. But the main point over here is that there was a need, an outsourcing service need that I saw presented an opportunity. And, I had the inside scoop because I knew how to use the software and train it. And at the moment, we're up to, 16, 17 employees. So that was just a long, short story.
Well, it sounds like you developed a process along the way. I mean, you had been using Dartfish, and that maybe in the beginning there were certain takeaways. I mean, if you think of it like on a basic level, somebody could take a video of a player with the intent of showing that player what they are or are not doing in the video. But that there's a higher level of sophistication to what you're doing, that maybe in the beginning there were certain tags, let's say speaking loosely, that you were looking for, but that over time you developed, well, maybe I was looking for X, but I should have been looking for Y. And so that over time you refined what it was that you were looking for, that you became basically better and better at interpreting what you saw in the video. Is that accurate?
Absolutely. I mean, it's like the evolution of any skill. I'm sure that, for all of us who spend any time on the court, the way you started teaching, your methodology and even the equipment you use, how you structure a lesson, probably changed, evolved a whole lot, and it became a whole lot more efficient. So exactly, and we were also involved outside of, out of match analysis, but also on technical analysis, with doing distance learning. And I think, that then is, for all of the coaches on the call here, I think that all of us are looking to add skills, to do some more work off the court, and at the same time help our students to improve faster. And that's and I know I'm going off on a tangent here, Kevin, so interrupt me at any time. But I think that a lot of us, we travel around the country. We go to all these conferences and all that, and the fact is that most lessons are still taught pretty much the same way today as they were taught 20 years ago. There are some improvements, but it's pretty much, I teach the way that I play, or I teach the way that I was taught. And I think what technology enables coaches to do is to, if they learn how to use it, and it can be very, you don't have to dive sort of all into the highest end level of the software, but for relatively inexpensive, you can do things like distance learning. And this is like a perfect time for you to, embrace technology or learn something on the lower end of the technology spectrum, and be able to benefit your students and also learn a new skill.
So, Warren, I understand that in the beginning, and even I guess throughout, you have not been interested in quote unquote empire building. Can you talk a little bit about that philosophy?
Yeah, early on, when I formed Tennis Analytics, it was just with, added an employee when I needed one, and then it got to the stage, I had 2 or 3 employees, and I was approached by, and I won't name any names in that organizations, but there was an opportunity for me to merge with another company. And also, and at the same time, take on investment capital, which I decided to not do. It was equity capital. And I decided that on Tennis Analytics, the way I'd prefer to build it is just to build it organically. And that is, just add somebody as you need it and you grow it. You don't have I don't have to grow the business 10% or 20% or 30% every year, because I don't have investors. It's just me. So I made the decision to, early on to basically keep the company small and to grow it only as you need to grow it. That means I could keep my costs, my expenses low, and also then, charge a competitive rate, for our services. So that was.
It sounds like you were able to ensure quality as well.
Yeah, we learned along the way. When you start charting matches like we do, we do all the charting of the USTA, pros matches. Like I said, at the moment we work with, I work with Craig O'Shaughnessy also. We do all of his tagging. So we're working with, at the moment we're working with, at any time about 10 of the top 20 players in the world, combining men and women, as well as all the college teams. So as we got into that, as we started working with, higher level players, you needed to make sure that your quality control checks were sound. So again, it was an evolution in the, we made some mistakes that we correct along the way. But for us at the moment, if somebody sends us a match to chart, then we'll chart it, and it'll go through, 3 levels of quality control checks both at the data level, and then also we even do a random check on the on the data. So yeah, it's very important that, you know, if you're using, you know, as we're gathering data, to make sure that there's integrity in the data. And like I'm sure, you know, a lot of you have seen some of the studies that have come, you know, come out. You know, working with Craig, I'm busy doing a project now with Mark Kovacs. When he uses when any of the guys use any data, then you need to make sure that that the numbers are pretty accurate.
What do you like most about working in this area, the specialty?
I think early on, you know, I was out on the court. I love tennis. You know, I think all of us are passionate about the sport. Love tennis. I love being on court. I loved teaching, but I also knew that you know, it's a rough business to be in for years and years and years. And I have the added the problem, like I'm sure a few of the coaches on the call do, with issues with the sun. So I grew up in South Africa, and I'm fair-skinned, and you know, came to Utah at Park City. My house is at 7,000 feet, so I have issues with skin on an ongoing basis, with skin cancer, with basal cell carcinoma, with all of that, you know, all of that, and also then looking at what happened with other coaches being on the court and, you know, banging balls on hard courts and all that with knees, and I decided that I wanted to stay in tennis, but I wanted to do something that would prolong my career. And that's when I started started looking at Dartfish, and you know, training coaches how to generate off-court revenue, and then got into tagging. So I think that, you know, I'm probably more involved in the tennis, and that the byproduct is that I got involved with fantastic people along the way, you know, at a different level. You know, just there are a lot of people who are passionate about tennis, but work in different fields. So everyone from, you know, I think, you know, like Mark Kovacs, like Craig, like Will Hamilton. I work with great companies like Essential Tennis, and so it's been good to be involved in the industry at a different, and I don't want to say different level, it's a different segment.
Well, it sounds like you know yourself pretty well. I mean, just from listening to you and knowing what I know about your company, that you know that you are willing and able and interested in having attention to detail, that it's important. And maybe if somebody wants to venture into video analysis or anything else, that maybe a first step is kind of doing an internal inventory of their, you know, whether or not they're, say, good with detail, or they're more of a big picture person or something like that. Does that sound right?
Yeah, and I think obviously it's like, you know, there are a lot of coaches that are intimidated with technology, and you know, sometimes it can be overwhelming. So it's like anything that you're doing that is new. You do it in bite-sized pieces. It's like, it's that old like adage, how do you eat an elephant? You eat it one bite at a time. And the thing, you know, with a lot, it's easier. A change is pain. Just as it's painful for you to, you know, when you're teaching a student a new grip, just that the pain that they go through to develop and learn and accept that new grip, it's a very painful process. It's a process. So I think that for anyone here is to try something different, and you don't have to suddenly be, you know, tagging matches and generating reports and all of that. It can be overwhelming, and a lot of coaches will just be turned off about that. But there are simple ways to get involved in using technology. In tennis, as I said, in tennis analytics in the field, there's two different areas. There's technical analysis, and then there's match analysis. And I think the easiest entry point is to start doing something on technical analysis. You can do it at an entry level. You can, in one afternoon, if you can use a cell phone, then you can get into doing some pretty good very effective technical stroke analysis in an afternoon, even if you have never ever done it. So that's my, I think for all of us, you have to have somewhat of an aptitude for for attention to detail. That's at every level outside of technology, just for you just to do your daily planning, your students, your player development plans and all of that. But I think that this is the right time to actually look at developing a new skill, adding a new arrow to your quiver.
All right. Warren, is there anything else you'd like to share?
No, I think that if anyone is interested in any of the stats, stats and all of that, you want to go take a look at some studies on our website on tennisanalytics.net. There's some case studies. You can just go click on them at the back. It's on the blog section, and you can read about some of the stuff that we're doing. Also, if any of you are interested in doing a course on technical analysis, we developed an online course that'll be it's in partnership with the USTA, and Tennis Canada is involved in it also. And then you can do the course, and it goes through all the steps on how to get involved. That course, by the way, will be released week after next. So that's on the website also, tennisanalytics.net.
Fantastic. Yeah. All right, Warren. Well, thank you so much.